Okay guys, this is where we're going to start today, and we are working on massing. We're creating an illusion of light on a two-dimensional surface with the use of our graphite pencils. I have a few different sets of blocks here on the sheet that are already marked off for you guys to understand, and I'll explain what I've written here on each one of these. This is purely for practice so that you can become more accustomed to the values that each of your pencils can get and how you use them to create a transitional blend from dark to light. So over here on the upper left, we have what's called stepped, no smudge point drawing. Stepped, which means that there's steps in here, and then there's no smudging with a blending tool or your finger or anything like that. And we're using the actual point of the pencil, okay, for all of these right here. And then for all of these down here below, this four, you want to set up your drawing sheet to kind of look like this. This is just a practice activity, just to become more accustomed with your pencils and how you use them. So there's a set of four stepped ones here, and there's a set of four open ones down here. But they are going to use the same four pencils. So you're just gonna bring that 2H down here, the HB down here, the 2B down here, and the 4B down here. But with this set of blocks, you're going to create a transitional blend with no smudging, and you're going to use the point of your pencil only to create the transition of dark to light. The D stands for dark, the L stands for light. I just wrote them out up here. Okay, so you got 8 of them over here that you're using point drawing only, meaning that you're using just the pencil tip to draw with, and not that. You're not going to be using this thing. You're going to be using this thing over here on the right lower side. Again, we have 4 different blocks here, 2H, HB, 2B, 4B, and they're all open. They're open. There's no steps in there. But this one is called Stump Blend. And so from dark to light, you're going to put in some medium with each one of these pencils, and you're going to use this tool, which is a stump, a blending tool that you hold like that. Put your finger on right at the back of the bevel, and you're going to put the flat part of your bevel on your drawing to start blending down. And I'm going to show you guys all the steps. I might be moving pretty fast, and I may not do all 12 of them, but you'll get the idea after I do at least 1 or 2. So, and then also you're going to learn a little bit about these pencils and what they can do. The first one is a 2H. We're going to start with the 2H. And we're going to put that pencil on as much of the side as we can. Take a little bit of the graphite out because, of course, you know we prep our pencils. If you saw the previous video, we did a little shave and shade session with these pencils. So you want to shave these pencils first, okay? So you're going to get in here with the 2H, and I'm using a mechanical pencil with this one. It's kind of cool. So the mechanical pencil, I can just pull the lead out and have a longer piece hanging out there. So you can put it on top of your hand like a tripod, or you can go under. It just depends on how you're comfortable. And I'm more comfortable this way, except I can just angle the pencil down a little bit flatter instead of more upwards. So you want to go ahead and shade it in. And we're massing. Do not push. We're massing with light layers. Do not push your pencil into your sheet. You want to put nice thin layers on the top of each previous value. These are values, basically, value layers. So now I have 1 layer in there. And as I move down the spectrum to the next one, I should use a lighter touch. Control your hand pressure. So now I am pushing just a little bit harder to put another layer on here. And you want to put a layer on that doesn't indent and crease your paper. Be careful with pushing too hard to make creases in your paper. You just want to cover your sheet with thin layers without pushing creases into your paper. You want it to be as dark as you can possibly get it, but don't push creases in it. If you need to turn your pencil in another direction, sometimes when you use one side long enough, it gets kind of flat, and then it might not be as impressive to get more medium out of the graphite onto the paper. So if you just turn your lead sometimes, you get a fresh area. And I only recommend that when you're in this practice mode so that you can see that, yeah, you can darken, but be careful when you're getting into a project that you're working on. You don't want to accidentally get a hard line in any shaded areas. So practice turning and seeing what's happening when you're working with these sample tonal bars. This is just all for practice. Now I think that's as dark as I can get it. So now I'm going to go here to the next one, and I'm going to put a layer in here. Take it slow. Well, like I said, I'm probably working a little bit faster than I normally would. So you want to make visual adjustments. You want to look at this thing to see these changes, these slight changes in value as you move down the spectrum. So this is creating, we're actually creating the illusion of light, basically. So the more dark you have in a certain area, the blacker the area would be. Less light here, more light here, more light here, and even more light here. So we're creating the illusion of light. So when you start working with shading any object that you're working with, the place where the light source is hitting your objects the most has less media in there. Then you're going to get into an area where there's more, and then the shaded area. So this is just an exercise to help you practice creating values, different ranges of values. Move back and forth into each one of your blocks. And if you go outside the line every now and then, no big deal. This is just an exercise. And then you want to look at that and see if these steps make sense. Darker, medium, lighter, and bright. Okay. Then that was my 2H mechanical pencil. I didn't have a 2H wooden pencil, so I used my mechanical. Now I have an HB wooden pencil that I'm going to use. And again, kind of gently drop it down to the side a little bit. You can put it all the way down if you want to go on top this way. You can put it all the way down and grab all of that. Get all of this as a point of touch on your surface. If you want to, it's up to you. However you do it, you do not want to have hard, creasy lines in your paper. I'm going to go this way now because I need a little bit more pressure because I want to get these layers nice and dark. I want to darken this spot. Okay. And this, again, this is just an exercise to help train your pressure. Train your hand, and after you're done, or as you're working with this, you're training your eye to see the difference between all the values with one pencil. One pencil can get many more values, but we're only going to stop at 4. We're only going to do 4 in these tonal step bars. So again, now I'm just giving it a little bit more pressure because I know that I can get a pretty good look, a pretty good density of value in here. Density means the level of darkness, the degree of darkness in a space. So now I like that one. So now I'm going to go down here. And again, you start off with light layers. Build it up with a light layer first. You can turn your pencil all the way down on the side and give it a light layer. And sometimes what I do is I kind of start messing with the other 2 or all 4 at the same time. Do real light down here. Really, really light. And then I do a visual check. And then I'll start to discover, okay, now I'm going to make this one a little bit darker, put a little bit more massing on this one. And I'm going to go back up here and darken that one because, again, these have to be logical steps. Logical transitional steps from darkest to lightest. Not a big jump. You don't want a big jump in between any of these. You want lightest to darkest. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more to this one. Don't want to have any lines. No lines. Okay, look at that. Boom. I think I've accomplished it. Now I'm going to go and grab my 2B. Same process. Start off up here if you want. I usually start from the darkest and I work toward the light. Some people are more comfortable working the other direction, and that is totally fine. So now I'm being a little bit more aggressive because I do want to make sure I darken it. And then, I'm going to move to my next one. You keep moving all the way down until you achieve a step of different values with one pencil. Now with this one is a transitional blend. No smudging with the smudging tool, and you're using just the pencil to do it. So you're going to start at the top. You're going to do all 4 up here too, but I'm going to move on to this one for the sake of this video not being too long. So I'm moving down. I'm going to put my pencil under my hand because I want to use more of the shaft of my graphite. And I'm going to turn my page because now I'm getting shoulder fatigue. I'm trying to draw with the page straight for the camera, but that's not good ergonomically for me. You want to be comfortable. Now, I'm going to talk about this hard pencil, this 2H pencil. Very, very hard pencil, and it's because it has way more clay in it. The clay binder in it, it's very hard, and there's less graphite in here. So you're not going to get as dark of a mark as you might need. But this is an experiment, and this is just show you what these pencils do when you're using them for shading. This H pencil is very hard. The H pencils usually are the ones that we use to improve edge quality or surface quality in darker areas like that. You can go in with the H pencil and you can clean up those little stipply things in the surface with these H pencils. But I want you to practice, do this experiment so you can see that it's really difficult to get a range. It's really difficult to get a range. Very light, very unimpressive. Here's an HB for the next one down. And this is all point on these 4 blocks. All point. You can use these blocks up here, these stepped blocks, to kind of correlate what the values should be looking like all the way down without putting any breaks down here. No breaks in this one's down here. You're going to use this one to look at this one to see, okay, the transition, I need very dark here, medium gray here, light gray here, and very bright down here. So we're creating a tonal step bar up here and a total blended transitional bar down here. And this is our experiment to see what the pencils do and how we can achieve the illusion of light on a 2-dimensional surface to create volumes out of shapes or forms out of just simple flat shapes. We'll get into those shapes with the next tutorial. But this one is just for you guys to express and learn from using these pencils with just a simple triangular, rectangular tonal bar situation. And again, you don't want any lines. We don't want to see any strike lines or streak lines. So if you need to go in a different direction after you've gone in a horizontal orientation with some of your marks, just switch it up a little bit. Turn your hand in different directions so that you don't have this linear quality in there. These ones don't have any real linear. This one might have a little bit of linear quality in there because it was a hard pencil. This one and this one and this one, it should not have any linear streak marks in there. And again, you can go in different directions. You can press a little bit harder, be more aggressive with certain areas to darken. And I think that's about as much as I'm going to get out of that pencil. I'm going to go to the 2B. Again, you start off at the top. You can lay your pencil down to get the most out of the length of your graphite. if you want to. And you can go all the way down just with a light layer all the way down. Light, 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 very light down here, almost white. And you go back up and you hyper improve, starting at the top with a little bit more pressure. You can go in different directions. You can turn your hand, turn your whole body, and get ergonomically correct and or comfortable, because you don't want to be fatiguing your shoulder like I was doing earlier. And then sometimes, look at this. So I can kind of see streak marks this way and streak marks that way. So what I'm going to do is be more gentle, not so aggressive. You slow down. And I'm going to do some like curvy or circular marks. And that's going to try to cover up some of those streaky marks. I'm going in circles. I don't know if you can see. I'm doing circles with the pencil on the side. And again, I'm still releasing my pressure as I move toward the light. Okay? And that's what you want to do with all 4 pencils here, all 4 pencils here. This final one, 2H first. And what I do is I put in a patch of value at the top. This one we'll be using the Stump to blend them. We're going to be using the Stump to blend them. Turn the pencil on the side so you're not too prone to having liney line marks. And I always do like a third of it with point drawing first. Point drawing first. A third of the block with point drawing first. Top of it being darkest. Then you release your pressure. Maybe half. A half is okay. And then what I'm going to do is get my Stump. You don't want to use a dirty Stump, already dirty Stump. Try to get a clean area. And the way that you deal with cleaning these, if they are dirty, is grab an eraser and you can erase off the stuff on the side of the Stump. And it can come back mostly clean. It won't be bright white anymore, but at least most of the graphite will be gone. You don't want to go into some new work that you're doing with a Stump that already has media on there, because sometimes it'll get, I know it for sure, it'll get into the work and then you might have a ugly mess on your hands. Use your brushes, use your drafter's brushes to clean your surface. Now I have from darkest to probably mid gray, as much as this pencil will let me have. And then I'll put my Stump in right at the bottom. Don't put the Stump at the top ever. Okay, put it at the bottom if you want to gradually blend into bright first. So we want to blend into bright first. And you don't want to have any scraps on the Stump or the paper. So keep brushing it, keeping it clean. So I'm doing these circular motions down toward the bottom. And you move it up and you grab a little bit more and bring it down. Since this is a hard pencil, this one will be extremely difficult to move the medium down to bring a nice transition. So always start at the bottom portion of your value area when you're going into the light. When you go back up to the dark, it's okay to just kind of smoosh it around up here. Now you're going to have medium on there, okay? So if you bring it down here again, you might get dark marks. See, you don't want to, well, it's not too, can't do it too well with the hard pencils. So that's not a good example. So here with the HB, again, I'm going to turn my page. And I'm going to come here and I will blend down a third to half of the way. But again, you're still using hand pressure. You don't want to make it too dark down here. Mid-tone is good. And I'm just moving pretty fast. You don't have to move as fast as I am. I'm doing circular motions. I'm using pretty much all of the shaft of the pencil. And I'm giving decent pressure without breaking my tip. So that's all I'm going to do there. And again, I'm going to take my Stump. And since the previous example that I worked on was a very light tone, I don't need to erase my Stump this time. I'm just going to go ahead and put it here at the bottom and roll it down, roll it down, roll it down, circular. Nice soft circular motions. Don't press too hard. You might get indents. And the harder you press with the stump, the more you push the medium into your surface texture of your paper, and then it's too dark. You want to wait at the end to do any aggressive techniques on this. Just keep it nice and light until you know. This is kind of like thumbnailing, how you want to practice what the value is supposed to look like before you get in there for the kill. So now I'm going to come back, and that's all I want to do. So I have darkest to the light. Now, the other thing that you can do to improve the value intensity here is you can still go back on top. If this is not dark enough for you, you can still go back on top of your shaded area and put a little bit more point drawing in there. All right. And if it's too stipply and grainy looking, you can go back with the stump even after this. So it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The stump produces a softer transition, a softer look with the shading, whereas the point smudge drawing, it has a little bit more grainy texture to it. So it depends on your taste, what you need for your artwork. See how grainy that is? Starting off, move it all the way down, move down, lighten your touch as you move down, lighten your touch as you move down. Go back, you can put a little bit more, lighten your touch as you move down. But you can really pop it in here. You can really put in quite a bit up at the top. When you get into the 4B, 6B, 8B pencils, it's going to be really more dramatic. Now, again, since I use the HB, which is a lighter tone before the 2B, I can go ahead and just use the same stump without even cleaning it off. But if I had 8B material on this stump and I wanted to come here in the HB tonal bar to do some valuing, I might mess it up unless I'm up here at the top, where it's kind of like you have to think about what you're doing. You don't want to have a lot of dark medium on here if you're going into a light area. You don't want to. You want to erase that out. But since this area and this area are pretty comparable, I'm just going to come in here and gently roll it down toward the bottom first. Gently roll it toward the bottom first. You see how nice that looks? And then I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to roll it in my mid-tone area and make adjustments as you see as you're going up. You don't want to have light spots and dark spots in the wrong spot. You want a gradual change of light to dark, dark to light. You could actually use the stump to draw with. Look at that. You could actually use the stump to draw with. Now, again, these two look the same. We need all these all these pencils have a different value for each one. So we don't want this one and this one to look the same, which means I need to get my 2B pencil back, and I need to get in here, and I need to push in a little bit more value. This is point drawing on top of my stump blending. I will go back on top after I put in a little bit more material. And I'm doing a tripod hold on my pencil so I can get a little bit more aggressive push of media on my sheet. And I'm lightening my pressure as I go down. Okay, then I'm going to go back in here with the stump. Start down here. Oops, look at that. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. Clean it off if you know you have too much stuff on your stump. Clean it off. You don't want this to happen. That right there, if you're doing some portrait illustration and that happens, you will die. You will just pass out. You'll be like, oh my God, I messed it up. Anyway, and here you go. Now, I'm going to stop it here so you guys can practice, and we'll come back with the next tutorial on shapes.